Hi guys, very good evening to you. Welcome to the video number 200 and this is Ajay and I'm your trainer today. I'm going to tell you about the Access VBA. We have recently started this Access VBA series and today what we are actually going to do is we're going to first of all, obviously, this is the video number 200 and in this video we're going to talk about the Access VBA, and what we want to do is we want to change any value stored in your table. So how to change basically your value. For example, if in your table you have some specific value and you want to change it, so what is the way around it, right? So this is what exactly I'm going to tell you, that how basically you can write the code and you can make, you can then use it. Maybe you can connect it with the user form or whatever you want to do. How you want to actually run it, it's all up to you, whether from the VBA environment or you can make the form, you can make the button and you can run it from there, right? So in this video we are going to talk about the loops, we are going to talk about the input box, and yes, we are also going to talk about the if function, and at the same time how to update the records. How, when I say the records, then it means that I'm going to talk about actually the access the fields. In the access you have all these records, right? And this is we will be learning in this video that how we can actually update them, how we can actually update them, how we can edit them, and how we can run the loop, how we can access all the these values basically within these field headers one by one, right? So this is going to be very interesting. This is going to be really very good access programming, and for those who are watching my channel for the first time, then as I said, this is the video number 200 and you can watch all those amazing 200 videos on my YouTube channel. You need to click on this basically the playlist, and you will find all the videos here under these categories, right? So if you're looking for the Excel VBA, just click on that. If you're looking for Excel D family functions, if you're looking for some add-in input box, we have actually everything over here. And a lot of you have requested me that we should also go ahead and start the series on the Access VBA. So I have started the series right now. I've created a playlist access table. There is another playlist access forms, the dashboard, and then further there is one more thing which we have created, which is the Access VBA basically. So if you just maybe scroll it little down, this is what I'm talking about. So we have the Access VBA, and here we are learning that how you can export or import the access tables, import the tables from the Excel to the access tables, and export the access tables to the your Excel, in both ways, export and import. We are actually if you go ahead and watch these videos, you would be able to understand it. Now in this video what I'm going to do is, let me quickly tell you, let's just not waste the time. Now guys, let's say for example this is the table, and in this table you want to update something. Let's say you have a lot of repetitions in your table. You have this row, it's coming again and again. For example, let me just copy and paste it, and this actually I received this question. Unfortunately I didn't have that email. I think the mail was deleted, and I received this email 10 or 12 days back, and somebody requested me that how we can actually update the records, how we can update these the record, for example this one or this one, to something whatever we actually want. Right now I want to tell you one thing. You can simply also do one thing. You can select this table and you can press Ctrl H, or you can use this option under the home tab, which is called the replace, and here you can actually replace the things. You just need to write, let's say for example you want to replace Cheryl with, let's say, Cheryl S, right? So what you can do is you can replace or replace all, and if you're looking for the whole field means that then the Cheryl has to be Cheryl. There has to be no other extra word, right, to that. So in the current field which you have already selected, match case, if you want to match, which means that the uppercase, lowercase, exactly it has to be in this way. So right now I'm just not going to click that. So if I click on the replace all, you would see that you won't be able to undo this replace operation. Now remember guys, in Access you really can't undo the things like in Excel you can do. So if I click on the yes, then what would happen, this is going to be converted to Cheryl S, but you will not be able to now undo it. So ultimately you will have to if you want to undo the changes, you will have to edit the values back. Now what happens in these situations, basically when somebody who is handling your the access, who just do not know so much about the access, you know. So giving him this kind of a command that, you know, allowing him to replace all the things simply by selecting these fields, I think it's a very risky job, right? And it's also not comfortable. Maybe your user is not so comfortable, so he might not be, you know, going to use this option, right? Though it is a very simple, I'm not saying that it's really tough. You just need to click on the replace. But then, you know, sometimes it happens, maybe he can choose the wrong header, and let's say if you have a in some another header also you have that name where you don't want to replace it, then, you know, if he's going to or she's going to select the wrong column, then obviously the replace, you know, would happen there, and as you know that you will not be able to undo it. So maybe you can create a button, and you know, you can write the code, and with that button we will get the prompt that what you want to replace with what you want to replace, and simply type in the values there, and you know, the things will be done. So this is what exactly we are going to do today, right? So guys, now the first thing which I want to tell you is that so how we're going to run this. First of all, you need to understand this. Okay, so first of all, I will declare that which table I want to use. So we call it record set in the VBA programming, right? So I'm going to say that I'm going to deal with the employee list, that is my table name, and then how many times you want to run it. I want to run it basically, you know, till the time, first of all, two things. I want to run it 2 times. One is for this header, and the second is for this header, which means employee ID and first name. And within these names, within these fields, the condition is that you have to run until you know, reach to the last line, until you reach to the last record. So basically my loop will start from employee ID, and it is going to start from 554, and then it moves to the 955, and then it is going to be on the next one, and then we will, you know, go to the first name, and then we again run a loop. So basically it's going to be a mixture of 2 loops, and then while running that loop we keep on asking the question that if the value, let's say if you want to replace Cheryl with Cheryl S, then you know, we would like to see that if this value is equals to Cheryl, if it is, then replace it with the Cheryl S. If it is not, then move to the next record, right? Because we really don't know where it is. And there was also one more thing I wanted to tell you. Actually, whenever you have a big table, so if your table has records, let's say in millions, then it is going to take a lot of time when you're going to replace it, when you're going to use this option, which is called the replace, right? So it's going to take a lot of time, but through VBA it is going to run very fast. That is the another advantage, right? So let's go ahead and let's go to the Visual Basic, and I'm going to create here a module. So the first thing which I'm going to do here is I'm going to rename this, not rename, but so we're going to name this find and replace. Okay, now first thing I told you that we are going to declare a record set which is equivalent to the employee list. So this is how you declare in the access. I'm going to use this dimdb as DAO, data access object, which is the by default, you know, selected library. So you don't really have to go to this tools and, you know, on any library, just use the DAO. It's a by default access library, and we are going to say that this is going to be our database, and set db equals to going to be current db. Okay, now the next thing which I'm going to do is I'm going to declare this rs as DAO record set, and set rs equals to db, because db is your now current database, right? So you would say that open record set, which record set you want to open, and I was telling you that I'm going to deal with the employee list table. So this is how you write it, right? So now in the access memory, when you're going to run this line, this set line, you know, this table will get opened, though you will not be able to see it, but it is going to be opened in the access memory, and from there we can go ahead and, you know, we can give all the movement, right? Now the first thing which I want to do, I want to ensure that, you know, how many times basically I need to run this loop. So basically one by one, from one header to the another header, you know, I want to go, right? I want to scroll. So if you look at this, I have 2 headers here, but maybe for your table you may have 5 headers, 10 headers, maybe 15 headers, who knows, right? So we are going to make it dynamic. So what we are going to say is I'm going to declare here a variable called dim I as, let's say, long, and I'm going to say that for I equals to 0 2, and this is what you're going to write, fields dot count. Now count is basically, it's a, you know, attribute to this record set, and we call it a property because it tells the, you know, the quality. It tells us basically that how many times it is the fields we will be going to have, right? So it's you can say that it's a kind of an adjective, right? So we call this as a property. So this would give us how many values this entire function, this entire property, when you're going to run this, it is going to give us 2, right? But I'm going to start this from 0, because what happens, the first your record set, it is always comes as, the index of that header always starts with the 0, right? So if you're going to start from 0 to 2, that means 0 1 2. So the loop is going to run 3 times. So if your loop is going to run 3 times, on the third time it is going to give you the error, because you don't have third, basically the field name here, right? So we are going to subtract -1 from it. And now next, so now what is the next thing we want to do? Now this actually, the code ensures that our loop is going to access our field headers one by one. Okay, that is why we are actually using this. That's the benefit of it. Now, as I was telling you that, so once we have made ensure that first we would start with the employee ID, which is the index number 0, and then we would go on the first name, which has an index number of 1. But then while you're on the employee ID, first you have to scroll from here, and you need to go to the 8444 value. So in that, then what you will do, you will write here first of all that record set should be on the top. So this is the line you're going to write, and then the next thing which you're going to write is that run this loop until you are on the last, until you find blank record, which means that this one. Okay, so this is another loop we are going to write. So I'm going to write here, do while not rs end of file, right? This EOF means that end of file. So now in this case we are going to run this loop till the time we are not actually going to find the last blank row, end of file, right? End of record, basically. So while doing that, then what we want to do, we want to basically find that if the record set, okay, so record set of field, what is the field now? The field is going to be I, because the first time when it is going to start, I will take the 0 from here, and this is going to be the field 0. So by automatically the first field is going to be captured. Okay, so here we are going to say that if the first field, which is in our case, it is going to be 554, if it is going to be equals to what? Now if it is going to be equals to whatever user has actually written there, right? So in this case what we are going to do, first of all, also declare here 2 variables. One is dim find what as string. I'm going to define it as a string because I'm going to use the first name, so it is a text, so I'm going to use the string. And then there is another thing, replace. Let's write replace what. You can declare your own variables, you can use whatever suits you. So these are not the VBA words, right? Find underscore what and replace underscore what. Now how are we going to actually use this? So I will say that find underscore what, this is my variable, this is going to be equals to input box, and in the input box I'm going to enter the value you want to change. That's it, right? And then replace with or what, or I would write replace with, and then again input box, you're going to declare the one more input box, and just write here replace with which value, just question mark, and that's it. So you can modify this, right? I know that I'm not really so good in this, but you can think on it, and you can really give this message, maybe a message which is very easy to understand from the user perspective when he's going to run. So otherwise, I mean, you can write this as well. So it's all up to you. I mean, there's no really big thing in this. You can create your own message box. Now what exactly I'm talking about, when you're going to run this, you will have this 2 input boxes coming out where you can enter the values. So if your field header, the first field, which is 554, is it equals to find what, this is what we need, right? Then if it is, then what we want to do, then basically we want to edit the record set. So this is how you write edit, okay? And then you want to edit it. So what you want to do, so you want to do what? It's very simple. You want to basically replace it with what? With the value which you have written in the replace with variable. That's it. And then you're going to make it update. so that the record can also be updated. Okay, so and one more thing you can do, that immediately you can also refresh the record. I'll tell you, refresh record, just write this line, and then the last thing which we want to do is, if I mean, let's say the value is not equals to what you want to find, then else end if. That's it. And I believe then you also need to, you know, make the movement. So after the end if, what you need to do is you need to move your record set as well. Okay, move and to the first, move next. Okay, so that it should, your cursor should move to the 955 and then 1000 and so on actually. So now let us go ahead and let us run this. Okay, there we go. So look at this now. You will get the first input box. So let's say we want to replace Alan with the maybe any other name. Let's say we want to replace Alan with the John, right? So I just run this. Now here you have the enter the value you want to change. So I write here Alan, right? Press OK. Now again replace with, you want to replace it with what? So let's say I want to replace it with Ajay. Let's keep it like this, right? So I'm going to replace it with the Ajay. So you have two input boxes and the value is going to be stored in them, right? So now the next time when you're going to run this loop, now this is open in your memory. Now look at this, how many times this should run. So I can put the watch on this. I can show you this code. This is going to give us 2 because we have the 2 fields basically, and you can see here that in the value, you know, we have the answer here is true because we have the 2 basically the field names, right? Remember, they are not the records. I'm talking about the fields. There is a difference between fields and, you know, records. Records means that these basically the rows, right? These are your records. And when we talk about the fields, then we talk about the bigger fields, right? So under one field you can have n number of records basically. For example, under the field employee ID, I have a record called 554, 955, 1000, and so on, you know. So this is going to run 3 times. That's the 2 times. That is the first thing, and I've subtracted it -1 because I'm going to use this I here. Okay, so if I write I equals to 1 to record set field count, then what would happen, the loop is going to run 2 times, 1 2, but the point is here I will not be able to cover this employee ID. So basically what I'm doing is I'm running the loop on all the fields because I do not know where is this first name. You know, if I have to replace Alan with the Ajay, obviously I know that it is going to be the first name, but who knows? Right now I can have a look on this table, but in your case, your table, you know, maybe you are not interested in checking that, right? So in that case, it is very important for us that wherever it is, we would like to replace it. That's it, right? For example, even if it is here, then also it should be replaced. Doesn't matter wherever it is, so it can be in any field. So that is why we are actually running the loop across all the fields one by one. So there we go. Let's start this. Now it is going to take this your record set on the top, which is on this top 554 Cheryl, and now we're going to run this do while till the time you are not end of file. So obviously we are on the first record and we have some values here. Now you can have a look here. So have a look here. So the first field name value is not equals to what you actually wanted to find. So you can do one thing, you can simply just you know, put the watch on this. Let me put the watch on this, add watch. So now you can see that in your find what, let me just increase the width. So guys, now you can see that in the find what variable we have basically the Alan, and in the field list this, let me just add this as well to the watch code. So you can see that it's 1000 basically, right? So 1000. Now you might be wondering that why it is coming here. It's just that because I edited this table, you know, before recording this video, that's why. But anyways, it is going to loop every record one by one, so need not to worry about it, right? Right now we are only going to concentrate that if it is 1000, then obviously it is not equals to Alan, so that's why it moved to the else part. Now the next thing which we want to do after we have done the check, you know, then we will go ahead on the next record, and that is why I'm writing here rs.move next. What is the next? Let's check out this. Now you can have a look on this. Now this value is changed to 554, which is this value. Again, it is not equals to Alan, right? So again it goes to the else again. Now what is the next value? It is 5794. So I believe within this employee ID you will not find any Alan. So let's just quickly run this. There we go. and you see here that the values are changing one by one. Okay, so this is running until we capture this 8444. There we go. I think the loop is finished now, as it says no current record. So now it goes to the next part, right? Because it has covered all the basically the values under this employee ID header. Now here is the very important thing which you want to do. Now let me show you. Now this next is basically a bigger loop. This next belongs to this 4, right? Now the I is going to be 1, because first time the loop ran, and in that loop these all the part which we have written here, the VBA part, this is actually executed. Now once it executed, it is on the last record, which is 8444. Now we want to go to the Cheryl, which is the another field header. So if you run this, you would see that now here I'm going to run this. Now see this, what is the field list? It says that it is Alan, right? So now the Alan is equals to Alan, so that means we are going in the then parameter. So here I'm going to edit it, and look at this. Now this is going to be replaced with replaced with variable. So if I put the watch code on this, you would see here that this is exactly what we wanted to replace it, right? We wanted it to be replaced with the Ajay. So this is going to be replaced. Now do you see anywhere that Ajay is coming? It's not coming, but if you close the table and open this, you would see. But I want to see the direct results right now. So that is why I use this do cmd refresh records. The moment I'm gonna press F8, look at this. It has actually converted this, the first Alan which it found to Ajay. Now there are other Alan as well, so definitely we're going to again start. So there we go. So we keep on now running this loop. Next. Now have a look on this. It's Kanika. Okay, now it's Bhaskar. It's not gonna work. Now it's again Alan, so it is going to be replaced. You can see here. So I'm going to replace it with this variable replace with, and there we go. Do refresh records, and you can see that it is now converted into Ajay. Okay, so I beg your pardon, sometime I say record, sometime I say records, so it's actually one and the same thing, right? So now move next, and so in this way you are basically checking each and every record, and you see here that again it is converted to Ajay. So I think we are finished, and there we go. Next, enter, right? So this is how you can actually replace the things very quickly. You can run this code, and this code is going to replace everything, right? Now for example, and yes, one more thing I want to tell you guys, which you can do when you are through with this basically this loop, the inner loop, please ensure that you should always be on the top, right? So just write here that move first. Sometime when you're going to run the loop, when you're going to make this program, it may happen that while you are on this last record, while you're on this last record, and if you're not going to write this line, which is rs move first, it is not going to be on the top. And if it is not going to be on the top, then this when the bigger loop is going to run, which clearly says that do while this not record set end of file, then obviously you would be on the end of the file, and then your first name head, the second field, which is the second field, it is never going to be counted, it is never going to be considered, right? And your loop will finish, and you will not, your access VB is not even going to run this, is not even going to check these records in the field 2. So it is always good idea to write this record set move first after you go through with the first field values, all the values. So before you jump onto the bigger loop, just write this record set dot move first, so that it goes to the top of the second header, and from there it can actually pick up the values, right? So now we're going to quickly what we're going to do is we're simply going to come back to this basically our form. Let's just create the form for this. So create, and you can create the form design, and in the design you can give this button, okay, and so just cancel this out and give it a good name. Just click here, and you can see here that find and replace, whatever you want to do, right? So just click on this, and once you click on this, you can go to the property sheet, and in the property sheet, now which macro you want to run on the click, that you can write. So I'm going to click here on this ellipsis button, code builder. So what we are going to do is that whenever this command button is going to be clicked, we want to call a macro. This is how we call the macro, which is this macro. Or you can cut this macro and you can run there as well. It's all up to you. Okay, so here I'm going to write the macro name. So what will happen when you're going to click on this call function will take you to the module line, and from there this is going to run. Okay, so let's run this and let's see. And one more thing we can do, if you want to give it a color, you can also give it a color, any color of your choice. Let's say I'm going to give this. Generally I keep my buttons without colors because I think that they look better, they look little mature in in terms of presentation if they don't really have so much of colors. But then this is just for you. If you want to use the colors, you can use the colors, right? So now let's go ahead and click on the view. Now remember guys that the table is employee list. So let's now replace this Ajay with some another name. Let's replace this Ajay with let's say Abdul. So I just click on this and I'm going to click here Ajay. Okay, enter the value you want to change. I want to change this Ajay to, let's say, Abdul. Okay, I press OK and there we go. The command or action refresh isn't available now. All right, so we have to see this, that basically what is the problem. So the problem is that because your database is closed, so you need not to basically use this refresh record. Okay, remember when I was trying to explain you this code, my table was opened, and the table was open. That is why I wanted to show you basically that if I execute this line, then the record would change, and you can see that. So because now it is already closed, so automatically refresh will happen whenever you're going to close it, whenever you're going to open it, right? So let's just remove this line. I'm going to just comment it out, and let's just quickly press F5. There we go, the code ran, and let's have a look on the employee list. There we go. So you can see that it is replaced with Abdul, right? So we are going to do one more attempt. So let's just replace this Abdul with John. Let's say this is Abdul, and I'm gonna replace it with Van, right? Press OK. There we go. Nothing happened, no error, right? Everything went smooth. So just have a look on the employee list. So you can see that it has replaced all the records. Right now, not only this, you can also replace the other things. For example, what if you want to replace the 1000? Okay, so or maybe we can do one thing. Let me show you. Let's say you have here in the employee ID, well anyways, because I have put some restrictions here, I can't write the text entry, but what we can do, we can replace this 1000 with let's say 500, right? This is what we need to do, for example. So we click on this, and I'm going to write here 1000, and just press OK, and you want to replace this with the 500. Let's see if we can do that or not. There we go. Let's have a look. And you can see here that all the records are replaced with 500, right? And the next time if you want to do, let's say you want to change your table, so there is nothing to worry, right? Because code is perfect. It's a very dynamic code. You just need to change the in the VBA environment. Just go in the VBA environment, and here just write that table name. So I'm going to write that table name. Let's say I want to write it compile, or maybe employee database, let's say. Okay, now let's just close this. Now look at this, guys, what we are going to do now in the employee database. What I want to do is I want to replace Ajay. I want to replace Ajay with John. Okay, so now I do not know which header is there, right? Is it the first header, third header, or what? Which field is it, right? But we know that our loop is going to run on all the fields one by one, so we need not to worry about that. The only thing which we wanted to do is we just actually wanted to change the this basically the table name, the records name there in the VBA coding, which we did. Well, there is a way of automating that as well. If you want to see that how you can auto populate the the table names in a form, in a list box, then please go ahead and watch this video on the Access. I'll tell you this video, I think. Delete access tables and create its backup, right? So in this video what we have done, all your access tables are coming in the drop down in the list box, and you just need to select that and click on the delete, and the table is going to be deleted. So in the same way, you know, we can also create that. Maybe I will upload that in the next video. We don't have to go to the VBA environment and, you know, keep on changing the table. What you can do is you just need to, you know, we can represent here text box, or maybe we can create here a list box, and it will have all the table list, compile, copy of employee list, employee database, and whatever table you select, then automatically, you know, that is going to be linked with this. So that is also something you can do it, right? But it's not something where I'm going to do right away, but maybe in the next video I can discuss that, right? Okay, so now let's just go ahead and find and replace. So what I want to do, I told you that I want to replace Ajay with John. Let's press OK. There we go, no error, the code executed. Let's have a look. Employee database. Oh wow, do you see that? It's wonderful, right? Isn't it? So in this way, you know, it is going to work on any of the code. Now for example, you want to work on the graduate part, you want to replace graduate. This, let me just copy this so that there should be no spelling mistakes. So let's just replace this with the grad, right? That's it. This is what you want to do. So in which field it is, I really don't care, right? Because my code is there and it's gonna take care of everything. So now I come back to the employee database. Let's have a look. All right, wow, this is good, right? This is absolutely good. So this is the Access VBA. Let me just maximize it. You can pause the video and you can see this entire code, and this is how, you know, you can make this code. I hope you understood this concept. And yes, again, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you are a new subscriber, then please go ahead and click on the subscribe button just on your right bottom corner, and watch all those amazing 200 free videos on the Excel, VBA, on the Access and Access VBA. I will come back with some more exciting stuff very soon. I promise on that. Until the time, you stay happy and have a very happy learning. Thank you so much, guys.